Good morning, OTC. Good morning, everyone else listening. Good morning to the haters, too. I love you. Love everyone. Much love. Okay? To start, this message is primarily to all the noise, the questions that have been answered, the relentless hate and tagging and all the nonsense. Like I haven't been through this, 27 other times in the past 16 years, right? I see right through it, And at the end of the day, I still have respect for each and every individual, okay? I know 1/3 of y'all, are paid to do it. And hey, you're doing your job, I respect that. You get paid to do this shit. And that's part of the game, right? I know 1/3 of y'all are, just disgruntled, misunderstood, emotional, feel wronged in some way. And to each their own, and I respect all those individuals as well. And then, the other 1/3, an agenda of some sort, retail still, but with an agenda, different from the first category because they're literally getting paid to do what they do. They know who they are. I know who they are. But I just wanted you guys to remind those who are distributing the hate. Look around the OTC, gentlemen. Okay? Look around the OTC. To this day, I'm still the only one using my real name. I have nothing to hide. Never have. Never will. I've always been right out in the open. The most transparent person and investor in the OTC. Most of these people are still using fake names, some cartoon picture, and you wouldn't even know their gender or anything about them. I've put myself out there, my family out there, my real name out there. I got nothing to hide from any of y'all at all. I've met several people in person. Take a look around. You won't find anybody else in the OTC doing 2-year restricted investments. No. You won't see anybody else doing that. You'll see them taking notes. You'll see them taking shitty convertible notes. You'll see them taking Trip 1 shares. You'll see them, pretty much doing any type of deal to completely enrich themselves with no regard to anyone else. Right? Yeah. That's the difference. Take a look around. I'm the only one in the OTC to this day that does private investments, 2-year restrictions. I've been doing that since 2019, and the crazy part is not one of those shares or investments have even been unrestricted yet. And many of those, like SDRC, for example, our first private investment was at 2 cents. We've, 2 cents to 50 cents. Do the math on that. Not even 1 millisecond of thought went across my mind to unrestrict those shares. Right? And that's the real reason. And this is why I say I see right through it. But it's important to remind everybody who's listening, why. But I see right through it. That's why y'all hate so much. Especially those paid. Because y'all are shitting bricks. Y'all have hated me since the start because I was different. I was doing things right. And I was a threat to your money-making machine. It's very easy to make money in the OTC shorting stocks when every single thing is a scam. But when somebody introduces something new to the system, rattles the cage, it causes a lot of hate. And I knew this would happen. I always expected it, welcomed it. I enjoy it. It's part of the game. But I just wanted to let you all know I see right through it. You are scared shitless that I do things right. You are scared shitless that I got nothing to hide. Y'all are scared shitless the way I do my investments with cash. And y'all are really scared shitless because your timeline, and this is my next point of the message, the timeline is running thin for y'all to succeed in your propaganda of hate, right? Timeline is smaller and thinner than ever. And y'all know this, I know this, and that's why y'all are louder than ever. Emotion is highest right before a major pivot. It's always the case, even on big boards. Usually emotion, the world is ending and emotion is the highest right before a major pivot upwards. Okay? Now, I see very similar scenario here with OTC investments. The emotion is extremely high for really no fundamental reason whatsoever. Nothing has changed but progress. And we're closer than ever to revenue and, most importantly, proving the concept out that had started in 2019. And that's why they're shitless. They're scared shitless, guys. Especially the chunk of haters that are paid to do this. They're really scared. Because if the concept that it started in 2019 is proven to be valid, and you can take a completely worthless, near bankruptcy OTC in sub-penny all the way into dollars, and not just dollars, because it's one thing to do a pump and to pump a stock into dollars. That's not what scares them shitless, because they can always short it back down. What scares these guys shitless is that a stock like SDRC moves into dollars and never comes back down, because that's the type of shit that puts them out of business. And if it spreads, it's like a disease. If 1% of the OTC becomes legit, it hurts them. If 10% of the OTC becomes legit, it's really, really going to hurt them. And so on and so forth. It's an idea and a movement that they're terrified of. And we are never closer to proving this concept valid and a reality. SDRC is making buttons now. Gold, silver, PGM buttons. They've figured out how to separate everything. They have gotten their purity levels where they need to be. Now it's just about increasing the scale. And the closer we get to those revenue numbers hitting, the louder these people will get. So be ready for it and ignore the noise. Okay? Because the ones that aren't paid to do it, that other 1/3 that I spoke of that have an agenda, that 1/3, most of them just want cheaper SDRC. Shit, some of them have even admitted it, saying they want shares at 17.5. They'll reload at 17.5. Be careful of the 1/3 with an agenda. They're just as dangerous as the 1/3 that are paid to do this. Okay? It's the 1/3 that are stuck in the middle as being misunderstood and emotional that I feel the worst for, because usually that 1/3 is mind twisted by the other 2/3 that have an agenda or are paid. But back to my point. SDRC is weeks to maybe a couple months away from revenue. And that's the big threat to these people. Okay? Is it's not just a stock pumping into dollars, it's a stock going into dollars, uplisting and never coming back down. And that's where SDRC is extremely close to. They're extremely close to revenue, big revenue, uplisting, becoming a serious contender in the market, and its comparables when they pull this off are in the billions for market cap, which means SDRC is going to be $3 to $10 a share. You watch. And they won't be on OTC anymore, and that's what scares these guys shitless and why they are louder than ever. And it's not just SDRC. It's XTPT as well. They have two that are nearing revenue, going SEC reporting, and are going to prove the concept out that started in 2019. Not just that you can move a stock into dollars. Many have done that. But that you can move a stock into dollars that is completely legitimate, it makes revenue, and it stays in dollars, continues to grow on big boards, and become a real legitimate company. That's what scares these guys shitless. Okay? And that's what we're doing. We're never more confident. We are never stronger. And we will win. Like, I check the news every day for XTPT because we could see that permit come in any day. And then that road is a 10-day, 2-week thing. And then bam, access to the piles. At this point with the current antimony prices, we're talking tens of millions of dollars, enough to develop the whole project without any dilution, and that scares them shitless. Guys, the concept is going to be proven out that you can take a OTC that has nothing and rebuild it into something truly legitimate. And that's what we're doing at OTC Investments. Ignore the noise. We're working harder, making progress every day, and we're never more motivated. That's all these guys do. That's all these people do to me, is they just fuel the tank, and I appreciate it because my tank needs a fueling. So, much love OTC. Much love OTC Investments. Much love to the haters. Much love to those misunderstanding. Okay? But you'll understand more in time. Time proves everybody right and wrong. Okay? Much love.